we're going to try to get this mic to.
So our question is, what does student-centered learning mean to you? What are your thoughts on incorporating student-centered learning within curriculum? Finally, what are your thoughts on the use of broad in school?
And my name is Carlos Casper. I'm also part from YCU. And my question is, in what ways are you meeting the needs of families and low-income communities in Worcester through the means of the Worcester Forward Schools?
Could you repeat that question, please? In what ways?
In what ways are you meeting the needs of families and low-income communities
Okay.
in Worcester through the means of Worcester Forward Schools?
As far as student-centered learning goes, I think it really encompasses a lot of what we've discussed here tonight already. It's meeting the individual needs of the students, regardless of their backgrounds, whether there are cultural differences, learning differences, just different exposure to whatever it may be for the student. I absolutely support student-centered learning. I think it really ties in with a lot of what we discussed as far as the wraparound services that we provide, the social emotional learning component, talking about the tie-ins with the community organizations that we're meeting with here tonight.
Student-centered learning certainly is essential to working and developing the whole child. Again, we're talking about the services that we give to parents as well. And parents, again, I'm going to go back to parents. We need to do a better job in making sure that we're going in, reaching parents and making sure that parents are part of the learning process. Now, with that said, there are many schools that are doing a fantastic job of reaching the parents who are needing more services than they have within the community.
Probably all of us will say that student-centered learning is vital for us. On the other hand, the schools really walk the walk while they talk the talk, and I suggest that some of them really do not do that. Student-centered learning means that the focus and frame of reference of the school system is entirely on the students. What do the students need? How do we meet the students where they are? How do we provide the students time, and talent, skills, and the ability to handle academic work in the best possible manner? That covers a whole range of remedial initiatives, curricular initiatives, social economic learning, supports, all the topics we really talked about too much in the evening. But do we really, in the end, look first at what the students truly need, or our academic programs and our initiatives focus on what the staff want to do?
I think that one of the things that we need to look at as a school committee member is we need to look at the data. What works, what doesn't work? What are the schools or the districts that are using more student-centered learning models? And if this is working and we need to adapt to our environment that will help our students in our district, then I think that we should do that. We should move towards that. But I too, in all the budget meetings, I do go along with Mr. O'Connell's agenda item that takes money out of the administration and brings it back into the classroom every year. Because I believe the money is best spent in the classroom when we surround our students with a lower teacher-student ratio.
I certainly agree with my colleagues. A couple of pieces that I would like to add in is you had also asked about what are we doing to help the low-income families. And we, as a school committee, as a team, made a determination, even though there was some pushback on funding, but every student is eligible for the free lunch program. So they receive breakfast, they receive lunch, if they have an after-school program, they receive a snack. And this is part of what we look at on how we can help them.
I would like to see a collaborative approach between educators, youth, parents, administrators. I also want to see, look at best practices coming from other high poverty districts, right? I heard about one example where, they had, designated out of school time specifically as a triage where, youth and families can actually come in and, get the necessary kind of wraparound services needed so that they're able to come to school prepared to learn, whether it's, social work, social service aspects, or if it's from the food pantry.
I think there's some great examples of schools that are already being very successful in this approach. what we have to do is to really move that success and that approach to all of our schools. It's a great question. I mean, student-centered learning to me, I think about ownership, and it starts with teachers. And teachers really owning the strategic direction and the success of their students in their school. And teachers working in collaboration to identify how are our students learning. And is this student doing well in your class? Is she doing well in your class? How can you reach each student that you're teaching? But it's also ownership, student ownership of his or her own academic success.
Student-centered learning takes time. And with the number of tests students have to take, teachers are compelled to almost be procedural in the way they teach. And so that is going to be a very tight road to walk. And we know that student-centered learning is a tried and true approach. But in the environment that we are in, teachers must produce, otherwise their entire school is labeled a certain way. And so
that's a brand new area. Let me just get out of here. That is actually a brand new area for even the state. So I go to the urban superintendent's meeting, and at the last one I was at, we were ahead of the game. They actually asked me for our job description because they're going to be putting managers in charge of that also. So in Worcester, we have our child study department that comes under the social emotional learning component, where we have our school adjustment counselors and our school psychologists. So we are working ourselves on that plan. The number of young children that are experiencing trauma, it truthfully is very surprising. And we really need to find ways that we can help those children.
It's that time of year again. Halloween! The time has come to practice the tradition of dressing up as ghouls and goblins to attend Halloween parties, costume competitions, and good old-fashioned trick-or-treating. But let's make sure we know the do's and don'ts of an acceptable Hallows Eve costume. Our first costume is a don't. Basically, see, when you dress up as a culture of people who still face oppression because of that culture, you're saying you love the aesthetic, but you don't care about the people. You're not only erasing the cultural significance of the clothing, you're erasing the very real feelings and emotions of these people. However, you can choose not to be by simply sporting a witch costume. Blackface? Really, it's 2017 and y'all still need to be told not to do blackface? Alright, so quick history lesson. So blackface was used by racists to mock, you guessed it, black people. Yeah! They used it to perpetuate all these negative stereotypes, some which still exist even today. Disclaimer, whiteface does not, I repeat, does not have the same historical context of blackface, but it's still ugly as hell, so like, don't do it. Now if you have already bought your black paint, don't worry, you can use that paint for cat whiskers. Yeah, just be a cat. It's not that hard. Mr. Whiteface guy, if you don't want to look a mess, just grab a rainbow wig and like a red nose and just be a clown. Are y'all serious? Y'all need an extra... Man, what even is this costume? Anyways, just take that cone off your head and just go as an old-fashioned ghost. There's literally no harm in doing that. Like I said earlier, it's not okay to use people's cultures as costumes. So this is a no. I'd also like to add that wearing costumes that reinforce negative stereotypes about a group of people are also not okay for reasons that are or should be obvious. If you're gonna wear a costume of somebody, do it in a way that's not offensive. Just be a superhero. Like, look at this Spider-Man. Look at him. You see this happiness? This excitement? You don't get this from being offensive. You get this from being Spider-Man. Now you know what to do and what not to this coming Halloween. Happy Halloween!
Merry Christmas! This holiday is recognized as the birthday of Jesus Christ. The holiday further developed with the legend of Saint Nicholas, or as we all know him, Santa Claus. He was considered the patron saint for protecting children, for saving sailors at sea, and for giving generous gifts to the poor. Christmas celebrations back then actually aren't that different from now. The custom still consists of decorating his home with greenery, giving gifts, singing songs, and eating special foods.
Happy Hanukkah. This holiday honors the rededication of the Second Temple of Jerusalem. This temple was commemorated because it was where Jews had risen up against their Greek-Syrian oppressors in the Maccabean revolt. They rebuilt the temple's altar as it has been desecrated by their oppressors and lit its menorah. The Hanukkah miracles then occurred. The menorah, despite having only enough olive oil to keep the candles lit for one day, burned for 8 days, inspiring this yearly 8-day festival. It's traditional to celebrate Hanukkah by lighting a 9-branch menorah, where blessings are typically recited, latkes are fried, dreidels are spun, and gifts are exchanged.
Happy Three Kings Day! This is a holiday celebrated by Latin America and Spain. It marks the biblical adoration of baby Jesus by the 3 kings who followed the North Star across the desert for 12 days to Bethlehem to present Jesus, or Christ, with 3 symbolic gifts. How this holiday is celebrated varies depending on where in the world it's celebrated. In Mexico, thousands gather to taste the mile-long king's bread, while others simply make the holiday bread at home, honoring the tradition to hide a baby Jesus figurine within the bread. And whoever finds the baby must prepare tamales for everyone on February 2nd.